Nós estamos aqui em Cambridge com o professor John Komaroff. Ele é professor de Harvard e especialista em lawfare. Hi, Professor. Could you explain for us about the lawfare?
And what we meant very strictly by it was the use of law and the violence inherent in the law for political ends. Often by deploying the instruments of the law in order to do things that one ought to do politically, but for one or another reason choose not to. In that sense, lawfare is most classically used by the powerful against the weak, used by states against political enemies, used by not only the state, but used by corporations against people who get in the way of enterprises and so on. It's his idea of order, and that tends to lead to spaces of populism, of the making of heroes who become, as it were, cavalier guardians of the law in the face of the public, but in effect to violate the law themselves in order to essentially pretend to, and I use the word pretend because it is a pretense, pretend to be protecting some kind of public good, when actually what is at issue is private gain, private glory, private heroism. Those are very dangerous principles. And as we see it here in front of us, alas, we see it in South Africa, we see it in India, we see it in Britain, and I hate to say it, but from here we've seen it in Brazil as well. I would never judge the rights and wrongs of a Brazilian court. I don't know who might be guilty of corruption, who might not be guilty of corruption, but I do know one thing, and that is that until that is established in a court with no prior prejudice, because everything that comes before, every sort of street demonstration, every interview by a prosecutor to a newspaper is basically a prejudgment, and it basically is precisely the third dimension of law. It's creating externalities. It's creating a mood of guilt before it. That's illegal. I mean, that is under American law, that's incitement, which is a criminal act, right? That is perversion of the law. It even is, in a sense, a form of perjury, because one is saying to a public something that cannot be established as a truth. And what one is doing with that is actually saying to a public, this is going to be of value and of authority in a law case before it's happened. If anything is a perversion of the law, that's it. And if I were Brazilians, I'd be very worried about it. Again,
do you believe Lula is victim of lawfare?
Well, from everything I see, yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, I'm not living in Brazil. I've read the papers, read the records, looked at some of the leaks. Well, I can tell you, as I said before, the very fact that his communications were tapped, that his communications with his lawyers were tapped, that these were leaked to public. In fact, if I were Lula, I'd be suing the prosecutor, and if Brazil has a decent civil legal system, they would have to entertain that. After all, that is an invasion of privacy. That's illegal. Tapping is illegal. And certainly tapping is illegal. So basically, he is the subject of a series of criminal actions which do exactly the three things. They seize the geography, they seize the jurisprudence, and they seize public opinion. From what I see, it seems to me, and I've read through the documents on the question of who owned what properties, and those things, they are so far from justiciable in any reasonable legal. I haven't seen anything that I could see as really going before and convincing a court of its facticity. See, a lot of rumor, a lot of circumstantial evidence, which has absolutely no value in civilized courts anywhere, unless there was a huge burden of proof. And I see rumors. I see unnamed rumors. I see basically what we tend to hear called garbage law. Basically the stuff you fill a case with when you don't have a case. If you ask me, has Lula been the victim of a crime? Very definitely. If you ask me if Lula has the right to a case, that is exactly what I would want. I mean, put him, give him a just trial, right? Yeah. Hear the evidence, hear the count, but don't put garbage law in front of a court. I mean.